We did it. We went and saw Evil Dead Rise, and as promised, we are going to talk about it. This is episode number 94 of the Red River Horror Podcast. We're not going to waste any time, so let's get into it. Episode number 94, sit back, relax, and join us down those channels of fear. Here we go. Episode number 94 of the Red River Horror Podcast. I am your host, Joe Zakreski, joined by RedRiverHorror.com founder, Eddie Cayazzo. Hey, Ed, how are you?
Joe, I'm doing fantastic. How are you?
Well, I'm great. And we got Steve Feast over here. Steve.
Hello! Part 3.
Yeah, so just right before we get into talking about it, I just want to bring up something that happened before the movie started, which was the trailers to the movie with some pretty good, solid trailers.
I think so.
I enjoyed I enjoyed the trailers.
Yeah.
I have not watched a lot of trailers recently unless it is something that is very, very blockbustery. So I didn't know there was a new Wes Anderson. So just learn that. What was it called? Stray?
Say the comedy of the dogs, Strays.
Yeah, Strays.
Yeah, starring Will Ferrell and Jamie Foxx. Some foul-mouthed
That looks
stray
fun.
dogs.
Yeah.
Looks like a good time.
It was a red band trailer, which is always nice to see on a big screen.
Yeah. The big seller, though, were the two horror trailers in there, the blackening, which just looks fantastic.
That looks really good.
I think it looks really great. I don't want to say a original idea because it's definitely pulling some tropes, but it feels in the vein of a Cabin of the Woods type of parody-ish. Understands what it's supposed to be, but also feels original.
Well,
I like it.
It just, the trailer answers the question is who dies first when it's normally the black person who dies first.
Yeah.
Who's the blackest of?
Who's the blackest?
Oh, man.
So, great looking killer in that. Like a mix of like Saw, Jumanji, cabin horror. Whoever came up with that. I mean, I'm looking forward to
Great
it.
concept.
Pretty
Great
brilliant.
concept.
And then what was the other one? There was one other horror trailer in there that looked okay.
Oh gosh, because it came literally right after.
It was an A24 film. Talk to me.
Talk to me. Yeah.
Talk to the hand.
Talk to me. I think it was.
There was a hand and some British people, I think, or maybe Australian people.
Australian.
Okay. Let's see. A24 horror film. It comes out in July.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it didn't look too bad. I mean,
the premise felt very like Bloody Mary, just kind of your traditional. This is a legend that exists in this town. Very, very straightforward in that it's a hand that they hold on to that has like a bunch of writing all over it. And then when you hold it, you say some sort of words and it puts you into some other world. I caught that there's something about 90 seconds in there. There's some sort of trope in there of like, but you can only stay under for 90 seconds.
Yeah.
Something of that nature. And then, went into this is the best feeling she ever had in her life. It seemed original enough. Very, very A24.
Yeah. Very much a twist on like the monkey's paw with some originality thrown in there.
Yes.
And
Talk to me.
Yeah.
Talk to me.
Solid lead up into Evil Dead Rise. So we can jump right into that when we talk about We'll do boats at the end, but I was kind of gauging my boats as the movie was going on.
Yeah.
So we'll just start with the before the credits started rolling. Great start.
I agree.
I also agree. I like that we started at the cabin and it just kind of felt like Evil Dead. We were at a cabin, not the cabin. And
it had the aesthetic.
It had just that feeling. And it, I guess my biggest problem with it was we didn't get to how does this tie in until the very end, which I'm maybe going to guess is how they set up a sequel, not to jump all the way to the end of the movie, but it's where the tie-in comes in.
That's the challenge with the movie. This beginning of the movie is a pickup from where it ends. So like normally that would have been like a cut scene.
Yeah.
And the cut scene was the opening scene. So anybody who's listening, if you haven't seen it, be prepared because it's going to get
all spoilers.
spoiler heavy.
I was going to say that's what we should probably trigger warning people. Oh man, I just got really hot on the mic.
Oh, you're hot, man.
Yeah, and we got the pop filter and all that stuff, the windscreen, all that fun stuff.
Yeah.
But yes, from here on out, if you have not seen Evil Dead Rise, well, stay
Don't
subscribed, but turn this off.
Or listen, and then you know what you're getting in for.
Yeah. So
all right, guys. So you've been warned. 1, 2, 3. Yes. So Joe, Steve, and I were just talking about the opening scene in the movie, and that comes around at the end. We have to figure out though what the hell just happened.
Yep.
But Steve, you're right. We started a cabin. The aesthetics there. They're at the lake. Holy crap! Someone's not feeling good. They're not looking good. And wow, what a beginning to this film.
yeah, very traditional Evil Dead feel to it. So it's like, getting that captured into it. And then here we go. We're going to Los Angeles. I guess that's, inner city LA is where they live. Very, very hipster type living.
They tried to.
Little hipster family vibe.
It was very odd. I don't. That is my biggest gripe, and maybe my only gripe with the movie, is how they're introducing these characters, and then also where does this exist in LA?
Does that kind of low income housing with that much space?
Yeah, it was a real nice apartment, but then kept
the building was condemned.
But the building was condemned. That what really and it's getting torn down in a month. It's getting torn down in a month. You haven't put a single thing in boxes, but then they did cover that quick with a one-off line of, you can sleep on the couch, but I got to pack in the morning. So it's like, all right, she's starting tomorrow. I guess that makes sense.
Yeah, there's plenty of those cinema sins that are in there. Especially one of any movie. It always bothers me. It's like, it's dinner time. They're hungry. And this was before anything really starts happening.
Yeah.
The kids go out to get the pizza and they come back and, none of the action started yet, but they dropped the pizzas. They didn't bother to pick them up and bring them.
They looked fine.
They were probably fine.
They looked fine.
But it's like, hey, we'll just skip dinner this evening.
Yep.
I know, and that's something I think that's very important because it didn't. Once we get past that big opening, yes, we experience what we know of the Evil Dead, and just to set this up visually, it is like a high rise. There's a bottom level, as you can imagine, a parking garage type level of this structure, and they're on what seems like it.
I think they're on the top floor.
They are on the top floor.
Yeah.
It's a 13th floor.
Oh. I didn't take note of that.
Was it 14?
I think it might have been the 14th floor.
But would that be the real?
Might be 14.
13th floor. See what I mean?
Know.
But the thing is, you're right. So the writer director Lee Cronin, he's from Ireland. So I don't know his live experience. I know this film was shot in New Zealand. So is this any kind of thing that he was trying to relate to? Okay, are we supposed to feel that this family doesn't have much, and it's like, the slumlords are tearing this place down and ruining these people's lives, or something? I didn't quite know where we were supposed to be.
I kind of got lost in that for a bit,
Yeah.
and it was all very tropey. The mom's a tattoo artist that maybe isn't very good, and she's making her own gun.
Yeah, out of a sewing machine.
The sister is pregnant, but she's a lead singer of a band. Maybe, you don't know, but for whatever reason, she was on tour and she was doing a test, and it came through with the weirdest trope, hey, do you know where the Strat's at? The one that I won last night in an arm wrestling contest. And it's like, yeah, of course, it's where it always is, strung up in the back. And it's like, well, wait, hold on, you won this last night. It just, everything felt too they're trying to establish these characters, and they didn't need to do that much to establish a backstory.
Pretty much.
That is what it felt like to me.
Yeah. And there's a lot of quick fluff.
Yeah.
That was unnecessary.
I'm going to the protest tomorrow, Mom. Where's my favorite black T-shirt that I protest in? What?
It was like
it was unnecessary.
Not without an adult.
Yeah, right.
Susie's dad's taking us. Well, all right, then I guess maybe if you forgot to tell me that, you forgot to look in the hamper.
You know where the washing machine is.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, son is blasting. blasting music in an apartment building where it's like the neighbors are like, well, that's just what he does.
Yeah. He's DJing, legit DJing for no one in one room of this apartment on a floor.
It was very unnecessary.
So we get it. They're an incredibly hip family.
Yes.
Fine. Nothing wrong with that. The best part about it is that it was an Evil Dead movie without being the Evil Dead at the same time.
Yes.
So, but these are like our little gripes that are coming out, is like how they establish these characters.
I just want to say, and before we even get into it and before we get into boats, I really enjoyed this movie. Yeah. You hearing this, you're not going to have a surprise what my boat's going to be.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I really enjoyed this movie. I'm giving some gripes because after all of this, I think after this portion, once it became an Evil Dead movie,
yes,
it was just like, this is fantastic.
Yeah, it seemed like it was trying too hard at first.
Yeah. I agree.
But I was listening to a few other podcasts, spoiler free. Mm-hmm. I honestly didn't want to get what it was about, like because I was pretty green going in, to be perfectly honest. But I did want to get some people that I respected, like their opinion on what they thought of it. And I never thought of this. There was one podcast I was listening to, I think it was the Halloweenies. Mm-hmm. What they said was, you have to think.
Shout out to the Halloweenies.
Yeah, shout out to the Halloweenies. I think you have to look at it as, when you go in to see a movie like Warner Brothers, which owns New Line, they released this in theaters. So who's the market? Well, of course, it's the Evil Dead fans, the P1s, as we call them in radio, like you, me, like us three here. Mm-hmm. But also, if you're taking your girlfriend out on a Friday night on a date and you've never seen any Evil Dead movie, it has to kind of grab them as well. So, like, that's the kind of audience. If you're saying this is going to theaters first, then you have to expect some kind of welcome to what we're familiar with.
I'll bring it into my world. I look at it as, if you're right now in the wrestling world, A&E is doing biographies, and they're doing these bios. They come on Sunday night, and it is just A&E biography, just like you would have A&E biography of, whoever, JFK, whatever. So I watch these and it's like, oh my God, I know these stories. I know this shit. I don't want to hear oh, this is repetitive. But these aren't for me. These aren't being made for a wrestling fan.
Right.
These are being made for whoever was watching whatever show was on A&E before. They were watching Pawn Stars, and they're hoping that Pawn Stars marathon lets them roll right into this, and now they get that primetime bump at the end of the night.
Makes sense.
I look at it the same way. Like, you still have to write for the general public.
Yeah.
You have to still make something that everybody will agree with, like something that will not agree with, but be inviting. Like, you have to invite all audiences, even though us three are going in like hyper focused on what the Evil Dead is, why we like it, what we like about it, the characters that we like, the stories that we like. We live in that world, but some of the people, if they're seeing this Evil Dead film for the first time, they'd be a little.
Yeah, I mean, I think if this is your first exposure to that, especially if you're like a younger horror fan, it's fantastic, because the thing we didn't touch on in the last two episodes is what makes it so good is the hybrid of like zombie and possession.
Yes.
And how it spreads very easily, and they don't die easily.
No.
No, it is I never really thought of it like that. That it, like the zombie element too, and how it spreads as it kills, and it doesn't always take upon everyone that it kills, but like it's selective and or when needed, like the two children becoming the monster that we'll talk about at the end that really I think was that's definitely the climax of the movie, third act climax. So we start at the woods. We get a little introduction of the family here. Mm-hmm. They're going to get pizza, and the sister shows up. That we got a quick reference of her being out on tour or something.
Yeah, she's a guitar tech.
Yeah, whatever.
Wants to lead the road show on her own, but she's taking a pregnancy test, and oh my God, now she's got to get back to LA.
Yes.
To her safety net, which is her sister and her hipster family.
Yes. This is a very hip family, by the way. Very, very hip.
Yes. So I think she's going to tell her sister she's pregnant, but they send the kids out to go get pizza. Everyone leaves. Sisters are going to talk. As the kids are coming home, they get into the garage, and it's a basement garage where they're parking their car. And there is what is said to be an earthquake. We're assuming it's an earthquake, believed to be an earthquake.
But it wasn't. It's very much centered because the Book of the Dead, the Necronomicon, is alive in itself. And if it knows that building's going down, now it's setting itself up to be released.
Released and discovered. So the son, Danny, he finds a hole in the ground, and you do in a horror movie, you find a hole in the ground, you're going to go in it.
Oh, no question about it.
There's hallways down here.
Yeah. No. Oh, great. There'll be hallways in the morning.
Don't go down there.
Yeah.
I'm going
down. Are you okay down there? Doesn't respond.
Yeah.
Just doesn't respond.
Goes to a big chest surrounded by rosaries and other assorted crosses.
Yes.
Like precious holy metals. This thing is...
Whatever's in here is totally fine.
Yeah, let me just reach in this sarcophagus that has a giant hole in it and pull out this flesh-bound book, or at least we know it. It's never mentioned that it's bound in flesh. I don't think that they said anything in
they did.
When he plays
record one.
So I did want to mention that.
So this is important.
Yes. Before he finds this, he does grab the records.
Yeah.
So before he finds the book, he grabs a bunch of old records. There's a picture from, I believe it was the 20s. It was 1923, I believe.
3 priests.
And there was 3 priests. And, and again, now we see all these rosaries and these crosses and ones that are even just nails that are tied together with a little bit of wire. There was even some of those crosses in there. So now he's got the book, and he nothing happens then.
No,
other than
not in his little journey down.
He's kind of hearing some things like the book's calling to him.
There was cockroaches or something that flew out. That was like the jump scare. Oh, the big jump scare was a giant crucifix
that falls towards
towards him.
Now, guys, real quick, when that crucifix falls down, did that not look like a person?
Oh yeah, I think that was the purpose.
I really think they left that to the audience to say, Was that somebody, or was it not? Because this person that was crucified, where you would think it's a symbol of Jesus that's kind of keeping this area safe,
Yeah.
But that looked real. Like that looked like a dude on there.
I'd be interested to go back, and I'm sure someone will at some point, and do a little frame by frame and really break that down.
Was it one of the priests, perhaps? I don't know if I'd go that far.
That's what I was thinking.
Interesting.
But it was an effective jump scare, I thought.
It was a good jump scare, but also I think maybe what you're getting at is like trying to warn him, like, do not take this, like, keep this book down here, because they know.
In the fight against good and evil, that was Good's last shot to say, hey, don't take that.
So let's start there. Like, a great, a well-played move, whereas like in the original Evil Dead, it's a researcher and his wife out in their cabin.
Yep.
And he has it and he takes it out there with him. And this one, it's an old bank in Los Angeles, and the priest has everything shut off down there. Like, there's no escaping this. It's like they have all that locked up.
Yeah. And safety deposit box,
and that's
in a bank vault. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, I like that change. I thought that was really solid.
I thought so.
Yeah.
I didn't. It didn't feel like it wasn't an Evil Dead movie because we weren't in the woods, other than that beginning part.
Yeah.
I felt like it jumped right to the new location. I had no problem with it at all the entire movie. I really like that.
Yeah. And then that's the thing that makes it cool, is like he finds this, his little adventure down there, brings it up. Of course, they just leave the pizza behind because
they had three pies. Three pies. They dropped them in the jump scare of the earthquake. the soda spilled. Like, all right, cool.
Fine.
Leave this, whatever. It's the soda.
The little kid's gonna drop the soda.
Yeah, I get it. They dropped the pizza. They opened the box. There was like
Eat a little.
There was like 5 good slices in there that were fine, and that was just the top box.
Yeah.
And they just left them. And again, like, did they at least take them to the dumpster? Did they just leave them right in the middle? I don't know.
Perhaps, but either way, I mean, I know if that was a situation, I'd still pick them up and bring them up. But that's the magic of the movies. I mean, everybo's got those gripes about the movies, especially the one where there's like the big breakfast spread, and Dad just grabs a strawberry and be like, I gotta go to work. You know, that it was that level of me like, come on. If you're gonna do it, just don't write it.
Mom's chain smoking later in the afternoon. I made fucking eggs for everyone.
I think it's a movie trope where I'm just like, can we just make it more realistic where they would pick it up?
Yeah.
And then their mom's like, oh, the pizza's ruined. I love you guys more than pizza. And I'm like, we dropped it. Like, you didn't fucking bring it upstairs?
Yeah.
Still hungry?
Yeah.
Now I gotta cook.
What are we going to eat?
What are we eating now?
Yeah. So
didn't I get a Diet Coke? Where the fuck's my Diet Coke? All I wanted was a Diet Pepsi.
But yeah, so that's just some stupid movie tropes that always gets me.
So flash forward here. I don't think there's anything like of significance that happens until later in that night, and he is now going to listen to these recordings.
Yeah, the dumb son is gonna be dumb.
So
he's gonna go DJ in his room with these new records.
So he turns on the recording. There's a first recording which is labeled 1, and I'm assuming these are cut at like, I guess they have to be cut at like 78 because he is speeding it up. Yeah, he has to speed it up. So I'm assuming it's cut at 78 because he's using turntables. He'd be able to switch it to 45. Like, he is on the deck. So it had to be at least like 78 or something. Listens to the first one, which seems to be not a sermon, but trying to convince other priests to let them continue to study this book and like read the book and go through. The second one then is hey, I'm gonna do it, I believe. And then the third one that finally has the incantation on it?
I think the second one is.
Okay.
So the first one's the story as to what they were doing, what they found, the evil. The second one's the incantation, because then later with the aunt, the roadie or groupie or whatever the hell they are, like whatever the hell her character is, other than the sister in this case, she has to then, she's like, so what did you do? She's like,
she started on 3.
So she's like, all right, well, let's just try the last one.
Yeah, and came back. Okay. All right. So incantation, he tries to turn it off. It's going through the speakers.
Doesn't stop.
It doesn't stop. He turns it off. Doesn't stop. Can't pull off the tone arm. Can't do any of that. Does not stop. And with that, we get that classic Evil Dead shot of the unseen coming in.
I was gonna say I was gonna look over at you, Steve. When the camera started coming into the.
Well, I did like that. We didn't mention it, but the movie did start that way as well.
It did,
but it was a swerve because it wasn't the unseen; it was a drone shot, and it was a guy doing a drone. But it was nice to start that movie with the unseen camera.
There's a nice little twist on it to get started. Yeah.
So the unseen comes up and is coming to the elevator while the mother was going to wash clothes, I believe. I'm assuming that the laundry is in the basement.
She was going down to start the laundry, and it comes and it finds
that would be a pain in the ass. I guess as the daughter, where she's like, you know where the washer is?
Yeah,
in the fucking basement. We're on the 14th floor. Like, Mom, you were going to do wash. I gave this to you to do. Like,
yes.
Yeah, let me go down there, and it's probably coin op. Like, let me go down there and waste $2 to wash this one shirt. Anywho,
going to the protest.
The elevator doors open and the unseen just get food.
Bye, mommy.
Yes. and mommy gets destroyed in this elevator.
Yeah, I mean, on a level of what if there was modern technology of what they could do with the trees in the original.
Oh yeah,
they did that with the elevator in this, and my God, they just beat the piss out of her.
Yeah.
And then minus the
bound all her
unnecessary-
arms.
Yeah.
And it was, I mean, they do this in the other movies as well, as it's flipping to the different pages of someone, bound in flesh, and then she has a very similar look, and she is tied up with the cables of the elevator, the cable car, cable pieces, all that good stuff. And then mommy gets back up to the top, and as she leaves the elevator and comes in first, right?
Yep.
Yeah. And she doesn't turn immediately.
Nope.
Well, despite not having much to eat, she throws up a lot.
Oh, yes.
Sure
okay.
does. Very Evil Dead fashion there.
Yeah.
I forgot. Okay. So that's kind of the next piece there, that big throw up. So yeah, a little bit slapsticky going on there as well, which I liked.
Yeah.
Without being too over.
I mean, you looked at me as soon as we left. I was just like, my concern going into it was, I'm like, I don't think it's going to have the same gore or weird stuff like that. It didn't feel like it was going to have that vibe. It did. It lived up to that. It did not shy away from any odd fluids just leaving bodies that aren't normally found in bodies.
I would say it was a gallon a minute movie.
Yeah.
I mean, it kept going. There was a lot of fun elements that came through here. Devin, shout out to our friend Devin Milbrand.
Yeah,
he went to see this as well as Mrs. Red River Horror, and he made mention of a couple of the Chekhov guns that came through. So like the neighbor who shows up with a shotgun later, and it's of course the shotgun gets used. They grab the chainsaw, and the chainsaw gets used. There's the wood chipper downstairs, and you make notice of that, and all these things that come in. It's like, all right, it's great. We get these good scares, but I feel like there's not a lot of plot movement between like.
No, and to your point, it's like that's the thing. Like with the shotgun is like, because of the earthquake, it's like, we got the steps are wrecked.
Oh, yes, that's the other.
So they introduced the shotgun because the one neighbor's just like, I'm just going to go grab my shotgun. We'll blast the lock off of that empty apartment. So
there's an fire escape. I guess yes. Yeah, so that's the whole plot of what we're trying to do.
Really highlights that tree truck down there. It's little setup, little setup, little setup, little setup, and then it kicks into gear. So you're really not waiting too long. Like it opens up with a bang, and you're not waiting too long to get into the Evil Dead mode. And we're going over. It's just like, Jesus, like it's going to be an apartment building. I didn't like. Is it going to be multiple floors? No, it was just all
one floor,
the top floor, which is perfect. The elevator's busted.
Can't go up.
And the stairs
are out. Can't go down.
Yeah. So we're all trapped up there.
Yeah.
And they introduced like the side characters. So you had like the two boys that wanted to hang out with the daughter.
Yep.
And then you had the neighbor with his shotgun and smoking his cigarettes with reckless abandon. Doesn't matter if he's in the common area. He's going to do it in your apartment if he feels like.
Yeah, he doesn't give a shit.
He doesn't give a shit. And then you have the good guy with his wife beater and
kind of the.
Oh my gosh, I'll drive you. Can I borrow your car? How about I drive you?
If they had another half hour to fill, there probably would have been some sort of love story background between him and the mom, or the basically the protagonist, the dead.
If you gave it to Eli Roth, they would have banged.
Oh, yeah.
So, and leave it.
That would have been set up at the beginning as well. They would have banged. So now he also has some sort of feeling commitment to this woman. So then we can also bring it back at one point where he's going to shoot her or something. And then, he doesn't, because that's, the girl that he banged once, 4 days ago.
Yep. So,
well, thankfully they didn't do that.
Yeah, I agree.
There was no love interest, but we're just laying out the characters here. He was just a guy.
It was just a guy.
He just happened to get caught up in all this crap.
Yep.
Yeah. Unfortunately,
he had his eye eaten out.
Yeah. So really, it's just going through like what is the coolest kill that then happened.
Yeah, I mean, well, you got to give credit. Like the first, the mom is the first one to be we'll say infected, possessed, whatever. Just the way she walks back into the apartment is like nobody else notices. She does that hard left right into the kitchen, fires up the stove, and just starts chucking eggs into a skillet. So it's like a great setup into like the first,
madness,
the very first
weirdness.
one.
Yeah.
My concern, like, I'm just like, crap, it's all the kids. I'm like, I was like, there's no way they can all survive. What is it? Like, so
I think I noticed this as well, that it was only a very heavy protagonist, and there wasn't a good antagonist, the other way around. It was all the antagonists. It's just the dead. There was no protagonist, good guy, like, other than the sister towards the end, but like, she really didn't come around until the end, and I still wasn't even sold on her being like the hero of the story. I don't think there was any sort of hero.
No,
it was just all the dead, the Book of the Dead coming and torturing and tormenting, like, which was a little bit difficult for me to like really root for anyone to win. I think is.
Well, I'll put it this way. One thing that I'm going to throw in is like probably the biggest negative for me throughout the whole movie. It's like everything's like cruising. There's one character that I just wish wasn't in it at all. I would have been probably sing more praises for it. I just thought it was unnecessary and dumb. And just the one thing I didn't care for. Mm-hmm. And that's the youngest one.
I had a feeling.
Okay.
I had a feeling you weren't. It's just like
there's no reason for her.
Yeah.
Like it easily could have been written out and left out. Like, I don't understand. It was just added to try and build up Beth as a protagonist.
For
no reason.
Yeah.
It didn't really need to be there. Even like the whole pregnancy trope was more for her to leave Tor and go to her sister's house.
Yeah.
So just
it's not even like it's a female lead. I just didn't think it was a good lead character at all.
You're gonna be a good mom someday because you know how to lie to kids. It's like, okay, fine.
Yeah, that was a little.
It would have been better. So like, take that little person out of there, and then it's just the two shithead teens.
Yeah,
and then it works like a million times better.
So Beth is top billed in the movie.
I think pretty clearly that's what ends up happening.
To me, I think Ellie as the unseen Deadite-esque thing. I think she carries the movie more than Beth.
Yeah,
personally.
I mean, I was really, really, really hoping that little one at the end was going to like turn and kill Beth, and that would have been the end of it. Because like my favorite thing about the first one is that no one survives.
Yeah,
right. As far as you know.
Yeah.
So this one fell into that old gaff of like little kid lives and an adult lives, and they're going to be like everything's going to be okay. I'm like, God damn it.
So I had a feeling that because the thing is, if you are making a wide
knew
release,
it was going to happen. It's like,
the good guy has to win in some way. I know.
Yes.
That's why I was hoping the little girl would have like turned.
Yeah,
that would have been
something
cool.
Crazy like that.
So she comes back, she collapses, she throws up. They take her. She ends up out in the hallway, and this is I really enjoyed this peephole shot that they kept doing.
So too. I agree with that. The peephole was great.
So she is just destroying all the neighbors. Ellie, the Deadite. So she's destroying all the neighbors in the hallway. That's how the gun gets out there. The neighbor gets his eyeball eaten off, which was a great slapsticky thing. She eats the guy's eyeball, spits it out, and then goes down another guy's throat, and he chokes on it to death.
Yeah, that was very like Evil Dead 2.
Oh yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Very, very good without being like too over the top. And it's still like, it didn't take me out. It just go, yeah, it's an Evil Dead movie. So she's locked out the entire time, and they're just inside. They're trying to figure out, what can we do? How can we get through this? Beth, the daughter, ends up being possessed at this point.
Right. So the mom, Ellie, she tackles her at one point and has that tattoo needle.
Yes.
Gets her own blood into it. And then, got it nice and close. That eyeball shot. That's enough to
almost
give it
got it.
Yeah.
An unrated version. We might get that.
Yeah.
But we also got that great.
She tattoos her deadite blood into the daughter's cheek.
We got that one spot with the cheese grater to the shin, to the back of the shin.
Yeah. But like the best, the good, traditional Evil Dead that was thrown in there was with that cheek scratch, how it started doing the shattered glass kind of.
Little black line, spider web out. So
Alyssa Sutherland's the mom, by the way, and she was very, very creepy in the makeup.
Great. Yes,
like the way she was talking to the daughter in that peephole shot. That was pretty cringy. Like that
it was creepy.
That'll raise your what is it? Arm hair. Give you goosebumps.
Yeah, no, she was fantastic. I can't say anything bad about the acting in it. I thought everybody was. Pretty spot on. Delivered a great.
Yeah.
Another Chekhov's gun. It was nice. At one point, there's a cat in the vent,
which is a great setup.
And the neighbor made mention that the cat's stuck up the vent, and as the mom, the deadite, is trying to get back into the apartment because she's locked out, she hears the cat up there.
Yep.
So we realize right there, and again, easy. Yeah, there's a cat up there. That probably goes into the apartments. It's an air vent. So she jumps up and climbs through. As this is going on inside the apartment, the sister is now sitting there listening to the tapes, or she's listening to, or not the tapes, the records, listening to them backwards. We hear that the only way to really defeat this is decapitation of the complete and total body.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you have to completely dismember.
Yeah, completely dismember.
That's probably, probably the best scene in the movie because it really sets up the false sense of security.
Yeah.
Because now we have daughter has turned.
And is in the apartment.
Yep, the daughter's turned.
They think that they have her defeated due to the even younger daughter's little pike. So don't skip.
But either way, I have to give it to Devin. Yes. So setting it up again, Stephanie broke, and now is a big, basically a stake at this point. So they set that up perfectly as well for a great kill with that going through.
And it makes you think that she put that through her head, so then she's actually dead.
They have her tied up
as you would in any kind of like zombie type movie or something. And it's like, I think I'd tie her up just in case. Well, that doesn't matter.
It was a good call, though. It was a good try.
It was a good call. So, but they feel like it definitely felt like they were in a safe enough space where she could listen to this record and it would find an out plan in peace. But the problem is, as you said, there's that cat in the vents. Mm-hmm. Deadite Ellie hears it and she starts slinking her way up. And then I forget the daughter's name. So just say protest daughter. She comes slinking out, still covered.
Her name was Beth, or
Beth's the sister.
Bridget, yes.
Danny and Bridget.
Danny and Bridget.
Yes.
So then Bridget comes out and like Danny thinks he's safe and he's not safe. Like it's just really well done. The play on the reflection as she's listening and then looks up and sees it.
It was great cinematography.
Yeah.
It was directed very well. It was fantastic. They really got you in. That was an edge of the seat kind of, and it was the turning point. I would probably the end of Act 2. We're going into the final act at this point, and now shit's getting crazy. So the mom's back inside with the rest of the family. The brother is fighting the sister who's come back up.
Getting wrecked, and he's about to basically be dead. She's putting that machete right through his bicep.
I'm pretty sure he just dies from that. But as that is happening, he also turns on the stove and lights her on fire.
Yeah,
a great fire scene. So that is fantastic. So we can assume they're both dead. The young daughter in this mayhem. She crawled under the couch again. Chekhov's gun. She had put scissors. She hit scissors under there earlier in the movie. The mom is fighting her sister, so the Deadites fighting Beth. They come into the living room. She slides her the scissors and puts it right through her nostril.
Yeah, right on the money.
And she just stops.
Yeah. So now she gets the buy time.
Yeah. So she stops. She's dead. We have seen this in other Evil Dead movies. It kind of just like stops the brain, but it takes some time to maybe just regenerate. And eventually it kind of the dead comes back, the Deadite part. So they're getting out of there. They're going to try and figure out how we're going to get out of this place. And the only option at this point is to go through the elevator. So they don't want to, but they decide they're going to go through the elevator. The doors won't close.
What did you mention? It's like as they're trying to get into the other apartment, that's where the rest of the dead.
That's what I was just going to say. Give it, Joe.
Yeah. So, you have this feeling, which is like, oh, there's that abandoned apartment that can get to the fire escape, but they can't get the lock off. Everybody else starts waking up, as you do in Evil Dead fashion.
Yep.
So now there's a bunch of Deadites. And one woman and one child.
And one woman and one child. So the lead Deadite, which is the mother, comes out, and we see the Book of the Dead. It flips to this entanglement with one head and then all these arms, and maybe it was 3 heads and all these arms. It was a very weird kind of creature. And we see the brother come out, and we see the sister come out all charred. And they combined with the mother into a multifaceted, armed-legged being, pretty kind of cool, spidery.
Yeah,
thing.
3-headed Deadite spider.
Yeah, it was neat. Different kind of creature that I don't think we've seen in any of the other.
That's something you would see in like Ash versus Evil Dead.
Yes, it would be like a one-off.
Yeah,
I see
bad guy in like some random episode.
I have a different take on that, Steve. My take on the living thing like the organism that was the mom sprouted out from her family. It's just like, I'm sure there's some kind of symbolism, and I'm sure that's very intentional by the filmmaker, but I think that's to get people like you to buy the toy of whatever the hell that thing is.
That's possible as well.
Good move. Yeah.
I'm just saying.
And if this movie does well enough, it'll exist.
Yes.
So that's a good point. I'm actually interested if they're gonna. I'm just interested if they're gonna put that out. I will say that would be something I would not buy.
Okay.
Yeah, you're sitting in the. This is the first time we're recording from the Keystone Retro Studios,
baby.
And there's not a lot of room left in this joint, so that's the hard part.
We got a bit of ambient lighting going though. Got a multiple Ecto ones. I'm a fan of that. We have you had brought out for our viewing pleasure The Evil Dead, and I might note, Steve, going back to one of our previous podcasts, that does not. So it's an Evil Dead NECA toy. It's Ash. But if you look at the cover, that blue old Evil Dead cover with the chick coming out of the ground and the hand up, no paper crease.
Yeah, it doesn't have
no
the
poster fold.
The distress on it. Yeah.
Which is interesting. So that's the first thing I've seen Evil Dead branding is that toy that doesn't have the crumpled up, like the poster creases. Yeah.
Interesting.
So, but
there you go.
But yeah, so if I could for a second before we get to what that final act is.
This is kind of our act.
Spider.
Our act. Okay, thank you. That is what I was not connecting it to. It did feel very Pennywise Spider-esque. Thank you. That I'm like, this feels familiar. I feel like I've seen this before and they also do have that. You can get that Pennywise Spider as a NECA.
Well, of course you can.
Yeah, because why not? Why wouldn't they? So we'll take it to our sponsors, but no, Eddie.
But so I think that before we get to the Pennywise Spider type ending, and we can go through the gallons of blood used for that, I just wanted to say these two Evil Dead films, Evil Dead 2013 and Evil Dead Rise that we just saw, we've come a long way, and we're going to have to not talk Evil Dead for a while on the Red River Horror Podcast because we've done a lot of it, and I've had a lot of fun kind of revisiting all of it. This, for me, these two films together, the streaming era Evil Deads, have really brought the kind of filmmaking that I like into a property that I like. So if you guys were big into the zombie and some of like the goofiness, some of the silliness, over the top slapstick type humor, that's the stuff that as an older person and like where I am and how I view film now, it's like, all right, like I like it because it's the Evil Dead, but I'm not really in the mood for something like that. These two Evil Dead films are the tone that I like. Like Evil Dead Rise was right in, like it's scary, it's paced properly, but it's still what I think it's a proper throwback to its source material. I'm trying to think of something like, so the mom's in the hallway and she's a deadite. She's the head deadite. Like she's the one that's first possessed as she's strung up in the elevator. This is the first time in an Evil Dead film that like it can be goofy when you watch the old one. So it's just like, oh my gosh, is Ash going to like Ash, don't hurt me, like I'm your girlfriend. It's like, no, you're really possessed and you're like, you're going to kill me. She's like, this is the first time that emotion comes out. So this little girl is looking through the people at her mom. And you really feel it. Like you actually feel the weight of that moment. You're like, oh my gosh, like this, if you were faced with this as a little kid, it's like she's looking at her mom outside, but she knows something's not right. We can see visually that something's not right. So instead of it being goofy and the girl chained up with the trap door in the cabin from the original Evil Dead, where it's like, it's like instead of that,
the deadite witch, you know, I think
this is a mom and her daughter, and the daughter is young and has to decide, oh my gosh, do I want to, like, I don't want to lose my mom. That's my mom talking to me. But we all know, just like, no, like, little girl, this is serious. This is heavy. This is bad. You will get hurt. And she cracks the door, and that's what happens. As Joe said, the little girl survives. But that's a moment. That's a real dramatic moment.
Nothing a hug from you can't fix.
That doesn't exist in a lot of the other property of this.
Yes, that's right.
And I do think that goes back a bit and ties into what I was saying of the mom and that head deadite Ellie, I think carrying the movie more than Beth, who is the lead.
Yes.
I think that goes right back to it. It's like, because it's the first time that head deadite really has an emotional connection to everyone else in this movie.
For sure, there's a lot on the line with what happens to her. Like it's not funny. It's not fistful of boomstick. Let's go shoot them up and dismember some deadites. It's like, no, this is the mom, and this family has to decide how to deal with that. It's sad.
Yeah.
So,
anyway, that's my little before we get to the final act here.
So, and with that, she has one more. The daughter has one more of that same feeling, which is she sees the keys and that is what's stopping the elevator from closing.
Right,
and she sees her mom and her siblings, and they're becoming this it type spider, multi-armed, legged, multi-headed thing. And the daughter grabs the keys and it lets the elevator close. And from there, you know, I don't know what they thought was going to happen.
Well, they're trying to make their way downstairs.
The power's out in the building.
Yeah.
I don't know what they thought they were going to do from here. But all of a sudden, the electricity comes on in this elevator, which I'm in my seat. I shook my head so hard. No, it's like, nope, you don't want to hit any of those buttons. And before they can even hit those buttons, the buttons start filling up with blood.
Yep.
As does the entire elevator. So we got this great, gory entire elevator full of blood that is rising to the top. The spider is going to come in and try and get them from the top of the elevator. You know, the classic, you can pop it off and somehow get into the elevator shaft that I've never seen in real life myself ever. But in every movie, you can get into the elevator shaft just by popping off one panel. And
so you thought that was coming? Did you think that was coming? The panel, the one panel. It's like, I did too. Yeah,
I knew it was coming.
Yeah,
it's like, there's one panel. Of course, they're going to be able to get in here, and it is filling up with blood. And they do this a little quick ominence. This holds up to 900 pounds, and from there you had the drop of the entire elevator full of blood, all the way to the basement. The blood comes pouring out of the elevator. A fantastic scene. I thought that was a great visual, really gory, felt like Ash versus Evil Dead. It felt, again, like over the top slapsticky, a little Shining-esque with the elevator, but I thought it was a good ad.
It was excessive, but it's still an Evil Dead film. No, I'm saying like it's an Evil Dead film. It's like, okay, now here we are. Here's the final battle. Did you think that up to this point, like if you felt like me, all that emotion is just like, don't worry, we've got a chainsaw, we've got a wood chipper, we're good. Like we're ready to rock.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean that's how it set it up. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I had a few chuckles with the elevator full of blood and the way it unleashed. I could think of I think it's Treehouse of Horror 5 or 6, where they go to Mr. Burns' mansion and the elevator opens and all the blood comes out and he's like, that's odd. The blood usually gets off at the 5th floor or something like that. So they get flushed out of the elevator, tons of blood, very Evil Dead, lived up to what I was hoping, what I thought was not going to be there. They made sure it was. Definitely no lit downs there. Then we have, you got to be full. Like the only way to defeat them is with full body dismemberment. Well, luckily there's a wood chipper there.
Yep.
So it was all perfectly set up.
We got a nice Buick that they get into. So they get into the Buick.
Yeah. Once again, it does like another like cinema thing. Like I'll just say cinema sitting. That just always bothers me. Is like it has you leaving you guessing what fucking year is it.
Oh yeah.
Even though it's definitely now. But it's like she's driving a 40-year-old car.
Yeah, that's like it was like a Buick from.
And it looks like an 80s station.
Yeah, I mean maybe early 90s, but still it's a 30-year-old vehicle.
But the kid had a laptop as part of his DJ setup.
No, it was definitely
and at the very beginning he's flying a drone. Yeah. So it's very much supposed to be now, but
it's 2023.
But it's also well, they're poor. So she's nickel and dime in a Buick from 1993.
Right. That's where it comes through. It's like they're poor and hip, blah 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 blah.
Yeah,
that's why his speakers are super old. Blah blah blah. Blah. Yeah, whatever. Okay,
it's
anyway,
a little unnecessary.
It is what it is. It's fine. The Deadite portion of it was just fantastic. But ultimately, what I saw was a kind of a weak finish. So I don't know about you guys, but is it opening up to an expanded world within this? I don't think so. Maybe there'll be some that'll go directly to streaming. I definitely don't see another theatrical release coming out of this Evil Dead. But with that being said, I'm going to say, if there was any way, I would rather see more movies like this rather than remakes or this was not a remake.
Yep.
It's a complete, taking the main idea, I guess you could say a revisioning, but not full on. It was unique use of the
IP.
The IP, yeah.
Yeah.
So
I agree. It's very, very just like a new take. In my opinion, I do want to note that there is a Bruce Campbell cameo in this movie.
So where'd he sneak in?
He had a voice cameo, and he is actually on one of the recordings.
Okay,
it is Bruce Campbell's. So it is not Ash or anything. And I'm looking on the Wikipedia right now. It's called The Book of the Dead for a reason. Is where it is. So when they're at the very end of the first recording, someone goes, "It's called The Book of the Dead for a reason."
That's Bruce Campbell.
Yes.
Yeah. See, all right.
Yeah. So they did the little fan service with the chainsaw, and then her picking up the chainsaw at the end, and it was like, okay, whatever.
The writer considers it to be a time-displaced Ash Williams, so he is actually saying that it is supposed to be Ash somewhere in time. I don't think that'll hold water anywhere.
Joe, do you mind if I interrupt your thought here?
Go for it.
You know what I'm tired of in horror? And I'm going to get my ass kicked by Kane Hodder for this, okay? So technically, I'm tired of people saying they've played a part when they haven't. So Kane Hodder in Jason Goes to Hell is the Freddy glove that comes out of the ground to grab Jason's mask to pull it down. So therefore, Kane Hodder and fans of Friday the 13th believe that Kane Hodder so he's played Jason and he's played Freddy. So now he should play Michael Myers. It's just like, no, I don't accept the Bruce Campbell. It's just like, well, that could be Ash in time. It's just like, no, it's freaking not. Like, stop. Like,
no.
It's like false.
It's just adding Easter egg for adding Easter egg.
That's for the YouTubers,
but also
right?
wasn't Kane Hodder was Jason in that movie, wasn't he?
Oh, he was.
So they just needed a hand to do it. So
right.
Yes.
They weren't gonna call up Robert Englund and be like, "Hey man, what are you doing? Can we just use your arm real quick?"
But it's like, that's what I'm trying to think. I don't know if it's ever happened with Halloween. I don't think so. The only thing in Halloween 78 was Tony Moran plays the unmasked Michael Myers when Jamie Lee Curtis lifts the mask up. It's his face. But throughout the movie, it's Nick Castle actually playing him.
Yeah.
So it's not, I guess I can't say that there's something there. But there's this trend of just...
Darth Vader, James Earl Jones.
Yeah.
So, like, are we saying, well, Ash technically is in the film? I feel like that's like for the YouTube people. Yes. Like that's for the people with the YouTubers.
It's
coming up on Watch Mojo.
Yes.
Cameos you didn't know happened.
Right. You didn't know happened. In 2023, director and writer of the movie Evil Dead Rise stated that he believes this is Ash displaced in a different timeline.
Because I can tell you, though,
maybe we have some Ash crazy adventure coming up in the next installment.
That's exactly it. But I'm not thinking about if I hear that in that moment, I'm not thinking about freaking Ash in time.
If we were at a convention and someone was just like, "Well, it is canon because Ash's voice is on the record," I will turn around and take a shit on their tape. Like, we're not doing this canon.
At Red River Horror, we don't engage in this. Okay, this is this is a cut above. With this, I don't get this. No, Kane Hodder didn't play Freddy, and no, Ash Williams is not in Evil Dead Rise. He's just not. Even if the freaking director himself said, "Well, that could be Ash in time." When you're watching that part, when they play the record for the first time in that movie, the last thing on your mind is, "Where the hell is Bruce Campbell?
Exactly.
Where's Ash?"
Exactly.
Like, come on.
But I will say, cool. They got him in there. Little voice cameo.
Sure.
Neat.
Yeah,
Awesome.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. And I like how Devin was saying, he's just like, what did you say or did Devin say? It was just like every time they kept calling.
Oh, that was me.
Yeah.
They kept calling her because she's a groupie is what they call the sister. And they kept calling her a groupie. And every time it would be like, "Yeah, you done groovy?" And I'm like, they keep saying groovy. She did get that one nice come and get some line out with the shotgun. That was nice. A little, that one quick homage. Obviously the shotgun itself and the chainsaw are an homage to Ash as well. She hurt her hand at one point.
She hurt her hand right away.
I guess that was pretty early in the movie.
Right,
that was the first.
Was like one of the first.
Her hands was one of the first casualties with the sister.
But she goes walking out with that chainsaw at the very end there.
Yeah.
And that's the last that we see of them.
Yeah. So
it pans to keychain in the car. And that would be I would say the end of the movie, and then we have a quick little epilogue.
How it ties into the beginning, which is another tenant who lives on the 5th floor. Goes down
and she is in the basement and she's getting ready to leave to go to the lake, which is where they were going. You see her that she's FaceTiming again, putting us in current day. Yeah. She had some sort of like nice car too, but she is FaceTiming with her friend, who is the friend from the beginning of the movie. That was the cousin that we met for about 30 seconds to 4 minutes.
Yeah.
And she looks back and just sees the Buick there covered in blood. the entire ground covered in blood, all the remnants of the night before. And she goes and she looks at it and she screams.
And the camera's moving and something's coming at her.
And we get that classic camera and she gets possessed. End scene. And movie. I thought it's good. I think it leaves it open. They could easily pick up and do the entire cabin as a movie if they wanted to. I don't know how much compellingness there would be there. I'm sure they could write something.
Well, I think they covered the cabin pretty quick.
I mean, there's going to be a whole weekend of it. I guess that's when she rises at the end. So it would have to be after the dock scene at the very beginning for it to even really be enthralling in any way, shape, or form.
All right, guys, it is time to give the boat some. Joe, we do have to get a sounder. When we're talking reviews, because we haven't done a review type thing in a little while. We're talking reviews. We got to get a boat sounder. So we'll figure.
Yeah, we got to get boats.
Well, and it can't be. You're gonna need a bigger boat. It's not gonna be that. All right. And that's not a knock to Jaws. I'm just saying, how many other shows use? You're gonna need a bigger boat. No.
Yeah. No. The challenge here is if we're not no halves
on Red River Horror.
That's the problem with me for this is just the ending really overall hurt it for me.
Okay.
I enjoyed it. Wouldn't watch it again. It's a 2 out of 5 boats.
Whoa, 2.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and I it's like the thing where there's no halves. It's worth one watch, but I've really, it's not one where I'd be like, oh yeah, it's great. And I'm like, it was good.
Coming out of the gate with a shocker, Joe.
Yeah.
He just blew me to the wall the way a Deadite was.
I have no desire to ever.
Wow.
I'm going to go to the other end.
Okay.
And again, boats are hard. And with that, I have to give it a 4 out of 5 on my end. I think it'd be a 3.5 and just throwing it out there real quick. But I have to give it a 4.5.
Okay.
Because I don't think it's a 3 for me. It's more of a 4 for me than it was a 3.
Okay.
I think the ending left a lot to be desired. I can kind of fantasy book this of, all right, maybe we'll go, if this does well, we go into another movie and she's the main person. It's her raising this daughter, and maybe there's something there. You already talked about how much you don't why we're
at
it. So I'm interested to see if they can move this forward, and that is why I'm giving it a 4. I'm being optimistic. I'm going to go see it with my wife, most likely again on Tuesday. It'll be on HBO
Max in a week.
I was going to say, if she actually really wants to go to the theaters.
Yeah.
Well, you had disclosed in a previous Evil Dead episode here at Red River Horror that was one of your date movies.
It was.
For the 2013.
It was.
So you might
there's
have
also
to.
that.
Yeah. Come on.
Yeah, and it's also $6 Tuesdays. You can get in there. You can see a movie at the Movie Tavern in Flourtown, Pennsylvania. It's a great spot. You can get beers, you can get food, you can get all that good stuff. But Tuesdays they have 20% off concessions. They have $6 movies and half price of like their up things. So basically like their RPX, I think they call it Super Screen Deluxe or something like that. You get half price on those. So you can go see a movie for $7 on a Tuesday night. 20% off food.
Nice.
You can have a nice little dinner if you want.
All right.
It's movie theater food. It's like going to Applebee's, but whatever. It is what it is. You know what you're getting into.
It's not a bad deal.
No. So I'm giving it a 4.
4.
All right.
4 out of 5. 2 out of 5. And Eddie, here you go.
All right. So because there's no halves at Red River Horror, it makes it hard. If there was a half, I would usually go 3.5, but this to me is a solid 3. If Evil Dead could stay in this direction, if you can give me a film like the 2013 Evil Dead, which for me, I haven't written it at the site yet, for me, the 2013 Evil Dead would be a 4. So this would be a 3, and not because it's a degradation of quality. If you can give me a film like those 2 Evil Dead films for someone like me, all right, And then the people that are Army of Darkness like fans, like you got, like with the big production and a lot of like blood and people getting smattered across the screen and Bruce Campbell and stuff. If you can give that fan something else in between, if you make the movies like this and everything else like what people, the other side of what people appreciate about The Evil Dead, I can totally live in this world. The two worlds exist. I'm digging these movies. I'm glad it took 10 years. But to be fair, why it's not a 4 and it is a 3 is because I don't see why we needed the beginning, the cold open, other than to give us that really cool title, Evil Dead Rise.
Because the ending's so poorly planned and written.
Yeah.
It's just that was the ending.
That's
to make up for the shitty ending that they had in place with the family.
That's fair.
So that's what I'm saying. So that to me, the whole thing at the lake wasn't really necessary. Like, and also too, if we're setting something in Los Angeles and if this is the Necronomicon, the Book of the Dead, or something like that, how the hell did it get from a cabin in Michigan to Los Angeles? The lake scene doesn't do anything to set that up. Like, it's just useless.
Because they don't have the balls to kill the kid or have the kid be possessed and kill Beth. It's all that random woman from the beginning is the one who gets the ending Ash treatment, whereas it should have been the other way around. If you just nix the little girl, just get rid of her.
Right.
You could have had the son be the one who opens the door slightly. It would have been fine.
Right.
She was useless, pointless. That's just the one thing. That's what knocked it down a peg for me. It's like, wanted to catch you by the heartstrings. I don't need that. It's not for me. But it's like, it would have been better. It's like, you know, Beth finally kills off the 3-headed monster of what was the family. She picks up the chainsaw. And then she screams, end of movie. Just like the original Evil Dead would have been perfect.
I got you.
Nope, we had to be like, you're going to be okay, little girl. You don't need to be there. There was no reason for her to be there. It was there. So poorly written, well executed. And that's why it was a 2 out of 5.
Well, either way, the aggregate score is a 3,
and that's fair.
Which I think is a fair. And that's not to say there's anything bad about it. I mean, my scale, I think I talked about the last time, is a 3 is I will go see it again. A 4 is I'd like to see it again, and I'm going to tell people about it. And I think this is a movie I will tell people they should see, just personally. Yeah. And a 5 is like, I'm going to watch it again tonight. How can I go see this movie again right
the thing is with Red River
3,
Horror, if you're going to give something a 5 on Red River Horror, like, that's fine if we do it in podcast form. But if we're going to go, if someone's going to say, I'm writing a piece, like, I love this movie so much, I'm writing a piece and I'm reviewing this film, and it's going to be a 5. If you're getting 5 votes, it has to clear everybody at the site.
I think,
because the thing is,
that's a good policy.
A 5 is Psycho. A 5 is The Shining. A 5 is like The Exorcist. Like, we're talking some serious weight that a 5. Like, that's why I don't do halves, because you really, if you're going to do a 5, it better be this generation's.
A 4 or 5 could be a cop out.
Yeah.
I want to say this is a perfect film, but I'm not completely sold on this being a perfect film. 4 or 5. It's kind of a cop out score.
Yeah. So that's my beef is my own thing. It's not something where I'd say, oh, nobody even bother watching. It's definitely worth a watch. It's not worth me watching again. And that's where I leave it at that.
I will watch it again with my wife.
Yeah.
Will I watch it much after that? Probably not. Will I catch it when it might possibly be on HBO or something like that, and I'm scrolling through the channels at my parents on a weekend that I have nothing else going on? Yeah. Possibly.
I'll probably dig this out over an Evil Dead weekend. So So like the Friday night will be the fun, the original Evil Dead 2. I'm going to see some limbs get hacked off and people, like, it's going to be funny. We're going to have some fun, eat some pizza. Saturday night might be the more serious night. I'll do the 2013 and then this one. That's where how I roll, my situation, that's what I would do. Like, Friday nights for fun, Saturday nights if I want to, it's just like, oh, okay. Like, if you heard this is really good and then you take a chance and watch it, like, oh my gosh, that it comes at night, they'll depress the hell out of you. I won't watch that movie ever again. But if I'm going to watch a movie like that and try it out for the first time, it's going to be Saturday night. So if I'm doing an Evil Dead weekend, we'll do the fun stuff on Friday, the more serious stuff on Saturday.
All right. I like your moves.
Yeah.
Well, I think that wraps up Evil Dead talk for a big week.
Yeah.
You got 3 episodes this week. This will come out Monday. I'm assuming.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
So hey, that's the way the cookie crumbles. 3 episodes of Evil Dead. Hey. Check it out. Let us know for yourself. You find us on all of our socials at Red River Horror. I've been your host, Joe Zakreski. Steve Feast, thanks as always for joining us. Of course,
thanks for having me.
Always a pleasure. Eddie, anything else for the people?
No, Joe, it was a pleasure revisiting Evil Dead with you. This goes back a ways for us. This started a long time ago. It was a lot of fun thinking VHS, thinking DVD, the poster, the all the artwork, Steve bringing the collectibles. It was fun to take this journey. And I'm glad we got to do it together, brother.
Absolutely. Right back at you. So, hey, it's been a lot of fun. This has been episode number 94 of the Red River Horror Podcast. And remember, as always, to keep traveling those channels of fear.
Hail to the king, baby.